Hi guys, welcome back to the Vault of Cult with your host Chris.
And Mark, you alright?
Yeah, I'm good, you?
Yes, yeah, I'm pretty alright.
I hope our lovely listeners out there are all good. Welcome back to the show, guys. Just want to say, as we do as usual this time in the show, big thank you, huge support.
Mega thank yous.
Yeah, we do really appreciate it. I know we keep saying it.
Really do. Follow it, do
share it, please get it out there.
The socials, as we keep telling you, just please do.
Again, really grateful. So thanks again, guys. So another segment we normally have at the beginning of the show is beverage for the show. Right, so
I feel like one day we've got to concoct a jingle for that.
I think so. A jingle could possibly be needed there. Right, so Mark, what beverage have we got, and who's kind of provided us with the beverage this week?
Well, our beverage this week, we've got nice rum and coke. We've got
Captain Morgan Spice Gold.
Yeah, and that's from our Marvin.
Marvin, we know you're listening. Big fan.
He will be listening.
Fan of the
Marvin,
show.
Biggest fan.
Big fan of the show. We love that, Marv. Thank you very much. And thanks for the suggestion, Marv.
Yeah.
Also, guys, we are going to reveal this week's episode. And Mark, we will be discussing in this week's episode
the classic The Lion King.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No less than The Lion King.
Dude, Tippy, we going the tippy top here.
Yeah. Have you watched The Lion King? Of fucking course you have.
You've got to have seen it. If you've not, you're a knob.
Well, if you've not, I think you're lying. I think you have. You have.
You're lying.
You are lying. You're lying. Yeah.
I like that.
And you know, in the Lion King, you've got to do a pun. You've got to do a pun.
Yeah, you have to. Got to pick a pun or two.
So yeah,
Lion King.
Let's get on it. So Chris, tell us what you've got then. Tell us some quick facts. Quick facts on The Lion King.
Quick facts on Lion King. Well, the film's released in the US on June the 15th, 1994, on a $45 million budget, and the film in total made $968.5 million.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is an insane amount of money. I've got the breakdown.
Go for
it. It's 422 million domestic.
Yeah.
And 545 million international.
Split that as well, half and half.
Really split, properly split.
Was it?
And that's what I would say is a fucking shit ton of money. I think that's the technical term for it even. That is a shit ton of money.
I mean, that's literally like Titanic money, Avatar money, if you compare it to today's kind of...
Yeah.
And, Avengers and stuff.
Yeah, it just made so much money. It was the highest grossing animated film from 1994 to 2003 when Finding Nemo came out. Yeah, just shy of 10 years, 9 years.
Wow. I didn't know that.
From 1994 to 2003, only toppled from this throne, because it's a king. It's film about kings. Only toppled from its throne in 2003 with Finding Nemo, which, to be fair, I get that. Huge film. But here's a delightful tidbit. It remains the highest grossing traditionally animated film.
Love that.
Still, to this day, it retains that.
That's because they're not made anymore, really. They're few and far between as well. No. But still, it is, again, he's on the throne.
Yeah. Nominated for 4 Oscars.
Yeah.
Won Best Original Score and Best Original Song.
Come on.
Can you feel the love tonight?
Come on. I mean, that sound. We'll get onto that. We'll get onto the soundtrack, but come on, that soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, mate.
Also, do you know what? Another interesting fact. In 1994, it was the highest grossing film until what film came out and took its crown? Forrest Gump.
Ah.
Interesting. So, anyway... Getting on to the cast and crew and credits and whatnot, the film was directed by 2 people, a gentleman called Roger Allers, who was the head of the story on Beauty and the Beast, and he also wrote Aladdin. So, again, Disney were like, we'll keep him around.
It's our Disney Renaissance guy.
And then another guy called Rob Minkoff, and he directed Stuart Little 1 and 2, and another Disney film, Haunted Mansion, which was a vehicle for Eddie Murphy, which didn't really do
odd
great.
film.
I haven't seen it yet.
I've seen it.
Fun fact, they're remaking it.
Are they?
At the minute.
It's up for a remake anyway. That's
Really?
that's Disney's wheelhouse at the minute.
Very
anyway,
true.
Remake stuff. So remake
Let's do
that.
it.
Let's and might be justified for that one in a rare term for Disney. It might be something that's justified.
We will reserve judgment, until we can actually see the finished product. Right, so the film was written by 3 people. A lady called Irene Mecca, and she was a writer on Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, and Brave.
Yeah.
So another one in the Disney family.
Yeah. Those films came a bit later, so this is, I suppose, her big success.
Yeah, of course.
And Hercules, while I know, difficult film. A lot of people don't like it, but it's one of my faves. Really like it.
Yeah, alright, okay. Another guy called Jonathan Roberts wrote it, and he wrote James and the Giant Peach, and again, he was part of the team with Irene to write Hunchback of Notre Dame. Another lady on the team of writers, Linda Wolverton, she had a hand in Beauty and the Beast and Mulan. So again, Disney keep them close, don't they?
They do keep them in-house. So, it was made just totally by Walt Disney Animation Studios.
And it was produced by a guy called Don Hahn, and he produced Beauty and the Beast. Again, there's connections there. They know when they've got a bit
Disney
of
likes
good there.
Disney likes to keep things in-house, don't they? You know what I mean?
100%, and, they're a massive conglomerate.
A hydra of a company nowadays. A hydra of a company, many-headed hydra.
100%. I tell you what, the music as well. Again, we've kind of touched upon that. The score produced by Hans Zimmer, who did Gladiator, an Oscar-winning film, Dark Knight trilogy for Warner Brothers, and Pirates of the Caribbean.
All of those have really good scores. I'm literally tensing listening to out. A really good score.
It is, yeah. His films, he doesn't do a bad score, to be honest. No. He does a lot of Nolan. He's done a lot of Nolan stuff as well, like Dunkirk and that. And also, Elton John and Tim Rice wrote all the songs.
Yeah, they wrote all the songs, and you can tell. But anyway,
amazing. So, get on to the actual voice cast of the characters of the animals in the Serengeti. I think it's set in the Serengeti, Is that?
It's set generic African pride, Serengeti, kind of.
Yeah. So, a young Simba's voiced by a guy called Jonathan Taylor Thomas. He'd been in the Home Improvement, which is in America. We've touched upon that before.
Yeah, big American thing.
Shite though.
Yeah, it's proper shit, but it's
shit.
It's shit, but the Americans love it, and let them have it. Okay.
You have
that. It looks ace. No one tell him. No one tell him. Don't tell him.
I did know literally right. The voice of older Simba, Matthew Broderick. How I would never fucking tell. I'd never know unless I read the credits.
I remember being a kid watching the Godzilla.
Well, he's in Godzilla. He's been in a few things. Godzilla from '98, War Games, which is a bit of a cool '80s film when he's a lot younger, and he was Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, but I didn't know he was Simba until. I remember I had watched Godzilla, and I immediately, for some reason, watched The Lion King immediately after, and it's only when I saw Matthew Broderick.
You went,
same guy! No idea. Passed me by until I was about 15.
I'm not a clue. And even watching it again for the show, I was like, I can't even. I know his face. I know who he is.
Yeah.
I couldn't. His voice
got a bit of a nondescript voice.
Yeah, very much nondescript voice. So, here we go now. Big hitter here. So, Mufasa, Simba's dad in the film, is voiced by James Earl Jones now.
Only fucking Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, the one and only. And also, he was in Coming to America as Eddie Murphy's dad.
Yeah, as the king.
As the king.
And his missus. Is his missus in both?
Coming to America as well. How funny is that?
Yeah, Sarabi.
They play husband and wife in Lion King, and in Coming to America.
Yeah, plays the Queen in both.
Pretty cool. I thought when I found that out, I was like, it's pretty cool. And there we go now. Jeremy Irons plays his evil Uncle Scar.
Oh,
mate,
the voice of Uncle Scar.
Another memorable appearance from him, though, is Die with a Vengeance. He's wicked in that. And he's with Man in the Eye Mask, which, that's a DiCaprio vehicle.
Yeah, he was also in that.
So Nala, which is like his girlfriend, is his wife to be, basically.
As a kid, is his best mate, and then as an adult,
you're going to fall in love. He's like, oh no, she's my mate. I'm like, stop it, behave.
Behave. She's only other female lion who you could realistically cop off with. It's her.
And she's voiced by a lady called Moira Keller, who was in Twin Peaks, and she's in Lion King 2, and that weird Lion King 1.5.
Oh yeah, we'll come on to that. The world's strangest film.
We can't get onto that just yet. We got onto Pumbaa and Timon now, which best characters in the film. We'll get onto that.
It's Nathan Lane, Timon and Pumbaa. Nathan Lane and
Ernie Sabella.
Yeah.
Brilliant, and they've only been in like TV shows. Really, they've never.
Well, Nathan Lane he's a very good comedic actor. He's so quick and
Modern Family.
He's in Modern Family. He's in loads of stuff.
Yeah.
I think he'd probably be most well known for a film he did with Robin Williams, Birdcage, about
La Cage aux Folles, the remake of the French film about the gay.
Really good film. That
I've never seen it.
He's one of the two partners who have to pretend to.
Right.
It's fun film.
No, I've not seen it. But Rafiki, who's like the monkey dude, and he's like the shaman type guy. He's voiced by a guy called Robert Guillaume, and he was in Guys and Dolls Theatre production, and that's pretty much it. But here we go. Here's another one. Zazu, Rowan Atkinson. Mr. Bean,
mate, my absolute fucking favourite character. I love Zazu.
He is a good character in it, and obviously he's famous for Blackadder. Who's in Love Actually for he could just keep going.
Rowan Atkinson is.
If you don't, you're a dick. And then we get on to the hyenas. Senza is voiced by Whoopi Goldberg, the world famous, and Bonsai Cheech Marin from Cheech and Chong. Cheech and Chong, and then you've got Ed who doesn't talk; he just goes.
Well, Ed's a bit special, isn't it? Ed's not all there. He's not all there.
He's there in body, but not in mind.
He's somewhere else.
He's got the crazy eyes.
He has got the crazy eyes. But so that's his cast. So
what about some little quite interesting facts and figures that we might have here, Mark?
Okay.
So the original title of The Lion King was The King of Kalahari or King of the Jungle. They couldn't decide.
I heard King of the Jungle. I didn't know King of the Kalahari, but
that was the original title when it was being wrote, and it was dubbed by Walt Disney as Bamblett, which evokes Hamlet comparisons, which we can get onto, which is it's.
Well, it's its main influence. If there's a story, because Disney always during that period known as Disney Renaissance.
Which we talk about.
They're remaking old fairy tales, Grimm fables usually, or they got like Beauty and the Beast and stuff like that, and so it makes sense they go, we'll do it at Hamlet, but about lions.
But what's interesting is as well, talking about fables and Disney making films based on books and stories. An entirely original story by the first totally original story. It was a Disney that wasn't. It was the story was created and wasn't based on anything else. Which is interesting as well, They had an opening scene planned as well, which didn't include Circle of Life and all that. Is being born and stuff. Well, and when they heard the song Circle of Life, they designed the beginning around the song.
You can tell.
Great, mate. That's one of my. My first bullet points.
We've got to.
The opening scene is fantastic.
But one thing just one final thing before we talk about what we liked and disliked, and it's the fact that this was made by the team that Disney did not think were their top team.
The most important animators went on to
work on Pocahontas because they thought that was the more prestigious film.
Well,
and do you know what? This is a bullet point that I'll like, so I'll save that. But that's what they produced. That were the team that Disney went, whatever. Just make a little bit of money and not a little bit, but make a goodly amount of money, and we'll be all right with it.
Like, as long as you make your money back, wipe your face.
Our focus is on Pocahontas, so they just I feel like they decided, no, we're going to make the best film ever, you know what I mean? And they...
Free reign as well.
They give free reign.
Free reign.
So, yeah.
Plus, again, the people that were involved with it, they weren't slouches. Beauty and the Beast, Oscar winner, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're so...
Yeah, I find it so fascinating that this was, out of the two films, the secondary one, you know what I mean? In their eyes, in their eyes, that's...
Because this is a classic.
That's the lesser one. But then after it comes out, bang, that dynamic totally shifts, and I think that's interesting.
Proofs in the figures, mate. You know,
proofs in the
bank,
figures.
like you say, made bank.
Yeah.
That's even for '94. That's ridiculous. $1 billion. $1 billion.
Billion, yeah.
Like I say, it's Avengers money. And it's crazy, crazy. Like you're saying, the most important animators went to it. And also, it took them 2 years to complete the Stampede scene. It's a long fucking time.
I'm not surprised. Well, I'm not surprised when we come to talk about that. I'm not really surprised.
The animation is so smooth.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah,
the animation's great. Also, the original script was completely different. Featured Scar as a lone lion, unrelated to Simba. He was in charge of a pack of vicious baboons. In this version as well, Rafiki was written as a cheetah. And Timon and Pumbaa were both friends with Simba from the start. So, totally different film.
Totally different film.
Yeah. Because you don't have that familiar...
Yeah.
The family motive there, then, do you? You know, there's no... That's where it links back to Hamlet. So, I think... Moving on to the film as a story, so it's about a little cub who's literally born at the beginning of the film called Simba. He's a young lion, and he's basically his path in life is to succeed his father.
He's the heir to the throne. He's the heir to the kingdom, the Pride Lands.
But he's got a naughty Uncle Scar.
Yeah.
Who wants to seize the throne, ends up killing Simba's dad. And blaming it on Simba. Simba sees his arse and thinks it's his fault.
And blames himself, and he runs away. It's really emotional, actually.
And then while he's in exile, he meets Timon and Pumbaa, and basically he receives valuable perspectives from his childhood friend Nala and the shaman Rafika. Before deciding to return home to challenge his nasty, horrible Uncle Scar,
who's been ruling so bad he changed the weather.
Oh, don't go on to that! Don't.
But he goes back and he goes to claim his throne. He's the rightful king. He's the rightful king.
There you
go.
This
throne, Scar, mine. Off. Fuck off. And that's...
I'll skull drag you all over.
Yeah. And then, he beats him and film ends.
That's it, yeah.
But that's the plot. But one thing I do love... They know the plot. Everyone knows the plot. No one doesn't know this plot.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Even if you haven't seen the film, I bet you know what the plot of The Lion King is. You just do. He's supposed to be king. He's not king for whatever reason. He becomes king at the end. Cool.
That's it, yeah.
You know the plot.
That's it.
It's exactly the right plot for this film, if you know what I mean. They do it so...
Do you know what as well, Mark? It has a lot of... Or it disguises a lot of mature themes in a children's film.
A children's film.
Which I find fascinating. It's really interesting. Yeah. Really interesting. I mean, when you're talking... The whole idea behind the film, it's growing from a boy to a man, the maturation. It's finding yourself. And
it's about taking on your responsibility. And it's about people's path in life, and sometimes it's hard and you might shrink away from it. But actually, no, you've got to step up and you've got to do those things, and that's what I think the film's message is. If it's about anything, dust yourself off.
Hakuna Matata.
Stop thinking about it in a worrying way, as if you could change that thing that happened.
No worries.
It means no worries about that. Move forward, and these are your responsibilities. It's not something that you can just throw away. These are your responsibilities. Go live your life and do it properly. that's the message
you know
that's trying to ding onto the head.
You know, we do talk about this a lot, and that's the quality of good writing.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think a lot of kids, I think subliminally,
you would never
probably know. You'd never know, but subliminally, I think to a lot of kids, particularly our generation, but I bet you now there is families and they'll put the
of course.
They'll put the Lion King on, and those kids will just.
It still sells when it's on Blu-ray, and it's on 4K now, and it still sells. They're just gonna keep giving it because people are still going to want to watch it.
That's one thing that we really want to come on to, and I know when we're discussing now, as we discuss what we like, the quality of the writing all the way through. What is what's an emotion, what's a funny scene comes across as funny. Even if you don't laugh out loud, it still comes across as funny. Even films that are supposed to emotionally hit you hard and dialogue.
As well, I think it shows scenes of, especially, you know what I thought was a really nice little sweet scene when Nala finds him later on, like halfway through the film, when he's matured now and he's flanging around, and they just happen to be in the same space at the same time, and they start talking, and Timon and Pumbaa are like, oh, something's happening here, and like they fall in love, and it's just a really...
I can see what's happening.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's such a sweet scene, and I think that it's love in its purest form. It tries to, it explains and depicts things in a very basic way, but the idea behind it is massive.
The whole of that scene is brilliant.
Can you feel the love
visual storytelling, when it plays Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Just the whole of this beautiful scene, and these lions. Not a lot of dialogue is spoken after the fight.
No. It's just the music. Then it comes in,
and they have a brief bit, and Timon and Pumbaa, another pun. Have you got your lions crossed? And that's really the only dialogue, and the rest of it is conveyed through music and facial expressions and stuff, and it's great.
You can see it's just a really sweet.
But that's the thing, that the quality of the writing. They know when to let it dip, and they know when to give us a joke. They know when to make it lighthearted. It's just that film. If there's one thing that I can really say is brilliant about it, it just takes you on the journey, and you're happy with it. At no point, no point do you go, come on. No,
none at all. No,
it's never at all.
I mean, it's a breezy hour and a half.
Yeah,
and it's breezy, and it pulls along, and there's no sag, and it's just
there's no point where it's like you're labouring a point, because everything they put on screen is either pushing the plot forward, or at the very least, it's showing you something so transfixingly beautiful, and I would say beautiful.
So this was one of my. So let's get on to things we really liked about it, and things we maybe would like to discuss in terms of not so positive.
Yeah.
So first, again, like I said, that opening scene's brilliant, lovely scene, really nice scene.
Just
all the animals, man, and it's like the symbolism.
That moment, the screen is totally dark, and the first thing you see is nobody knows what the words are. And it just comes up, and you just see the sun, and the screen bursts red, and you're like. From the very moment, I remember I was 5 years old. I got took to pictures to see. In fact, I weren't quite 5. 4.
I see it in the cinema too,
Right. And that moment, guys, when totally black screen, totally dark room, and a huge room, the sun, the sun! It's not just, you're not seeing the sun, it's like you sat in a room and the sun has risen.
Yeah.
Beautiful scene. And I remember, as a 4.5-year-old kid, not really understanding what I'm thinking, but I had this feeling, I'm watching a special film. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
right then, when
you know what I mean? That's what it is.
Yeah. I was like, oh, all right. And just the whole of that scene, and the music that rises, it builds, and every visual, the animals going forward.
Cool.
And it builds, and it builds, and it builds to its big. It's a circle of life.
Oh, something's happening. We're all going. We're all going.
And then even when they get to Pride Rock, and Zazu swoops over to the king, lands in front of him, and he bounds.
And
just this. they're showing off now. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
The people who made that scene went, this is what you can do with animation now.
Hand-drawn.
This is it. This is what you can do with hand-drawn animation.
Yeah.
Top of their game,
mate.
It's beautiful. I know we're labouring that point.
No. Do you know what, Matt? 100% agree. Again, literally the second point on my list was I love that animation in it. And do you know why? Because it's almost. I wrote on my notes soft lines.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to explain that to you, but it's not pin sharp, and I like that. And I like that.
It's harsh, but it's beautiful for it. Do you know what I really like about the
gorgeous animation? Gorgeous.
The whole thing. Those people, and I know this sounds really stupid, know how to use colour in there. Just every single scene is beautifully coloured in.
Bright.
Even when we've got your villain song, the songs, oh my god, we'll come out it. But even just the Lemon Scar sings his song, and he jumps down. You know, it starts with a
be prepared.
Be prepared. Yeah, one of my by the way, that's also one of my karaoke songs, and I smash it every single time. I love Be Prepared.
Okay. I'd have to.
But even when he leaps down, hum, and the geysers or geezers, I never know how to say that word, but go up with green. You're in a totally black room and there's green smoke, and he emerges out of
do you know what?
emerges out of the smoke, and you're like, wow! Just
do you know what
with
I like?
Two colours. You had the colour of Scar. You had the colour of Scar, but you also had a grey background and green, and you fucking used it.
Do you know what
I mean by they use colour?
Yeah,
really well.
And if you look, I don't know if you noticed this, but I noticed that the way they shot that scene, it's very much a style of like a Fritz Lang, like German impressionistic style. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
the camera was angular, and I thought that was really interesting.
Do you know what else? Well, they
German expressionist films where the camera was always tilted and it was at low angles to look up, and
but fascinating. That's the thing. They wanted it to like that because they wanted it to be a little bit like there's a very historically important film, Triumph of the Wills, right? Which is, of course, a Nazi propaganda film, and obviously during Be Prepared, they literally do the march past as they do.
Where it's just heads bobbing, just going along and along.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. So that's why they wanted a Germanic feel to a early 20th century Germanic feel, because I mean, it's film language, the use of film language. Who are evil dictators that people will immediately think of in 1994 will they immediately think of? They'll think of Hitler and Stalin.
Yeah, like
so
bad guys.
Hitler. But one thing that I only noticed as an adult, when he's at the climax of the Be Prepared song, it's literally the moon makes the shape of a sickle, so it's like almost we're referencing the two big dictatorships to put in your mind when this person comes to the throne, when this person takes power, he's a bad guy, he's a dictator, he's
again, make complex ideas and you know, subliminal, not I wouldn't even necessarily subliminal, but the packaging complex ideas in
a understandable way.
Yeah, so simplified.
Anyone would see that and they'd think the Nazis, bad guy, tyrant, dictator.
There you go, says it all. Yeah, and they know what they need to do to convey that message.
You know. Sorry,
mate. Sorry. I was just going to say as well. You know, another big theme, and it does hammer it quite a fair few times throughout the film. And again, I'm not picky, and but I noticed that the circle of life, you know, the other messages, you know, and what makes a society successful, because there is this, then that has to do this to make that work, and it only works when it all works together. It does hammer that a little bit. Not criticism.
It does. But that's the central. Okay. You can't really slag it for. It's a kids' film, so you have got to go.
Boop.
There's your message. At least, like
you know what I'm like about messages.
You've got, I am going to say, if there is one kind of criticism that I could come up with, it is that the message is a little bit garbled. Like, what's the message that we're supposed to take away from it? Because obviously, like. I think it's
about conflict, and you've got that against Scar being his uncle, like familial conflict and corruption as well. This theme's a corruption.
Yeah. There's films of segregation, themes of segregation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The hyenas are literally exiled out. I mean, that's one thing where the message is a little bit weird, because it seems the note that it seems to end on is kind of like segregation. Actually, were always a good idea. You want to keep the scraggly hyenas out of the way, and you're like, that ain't aged well. Do you know what I mean? That's one thing, but I don't think any kid realistically picks up on that. No. I think that's adults looking back and going, "Oh, that's cynical, isn't it?" And that's look at it like a kid. The hyenas are the bad guys, so you don't want them there.
Ultimately, they are the bad guys at the end. They are. They go after Scar, don't they? They serve him.
Well, actually, that's quite a good moment, because like they turn on Scar, justifiably so, after what he did. You know what I mean?
Well,
so,
But let's go on to Scar as a character.
Mate,
that Jeremy Irons, isn't it? Fuck it. Right, so let me just get my criticism out of my way, right? He can't sing for shit.
Yeah.
Be prepared, great sequence. If you really listen to it, mate, I was like, guy can't sing for shit. Because he's not a singer.
He's not a singer, but I don't think they wanted it to sound like a
but that performance,
singer.
Chewing that scenery,
choose it.
He literally,
mate,
chews
Jeremy
it,
Irons turned up.
Spews the fucker back up.
Jeremy Irons turns up to that thing, and he's go hard and go home.
Yeah.
And you can tell with that performance, he is loving every minute of playing Uncle Scar, and I can see why. I would not yes, he'd choose the scene, but I wouldn't want Uncle Scar any other way. Uncle Scar is one of
performance.
Mate, he's what. To me, I don't know about anyone else. When I think Disney villain, my head immediately, the first one I think of is Uncle Scar. Straight away.
Really?
He's the first one I think of, because he is iconic. Okay. And I think a lot of people will be very different what you grow up with. I think a lot of...
I wouldn't know what I would say to that on that question, though. I was just thinking, I was like, okay.
You know, a lot of people would say Ursula the Sea Witch, or they'd get
Jafar,
or Jafar, or he's another Disney villain who just chews everything. I love it.
But Jeremy Irons, though, mate, he's
and that voice, perfectly clipped British accent. One of my favourite lines that he says, and it's just so perfect how he says it. And it's right at the beginning, not long after he's just done the "life's not fair." He tries to eat Zazu, and Mufasa says, "Drop him."
That's right.
And they have a little scrap. You know, a little
jumps in front of them, and he's like, "Oh, we're not going to get involved, are we, violent?" And Zazu goes, "Pity, why not?" And he just leans down and he goes, "Well, as far as brains go, I've got the lion's share, but when it comes to brute strength..." And it's just a brilliant line, and where I just love it, because I'm the smarter one in the room.
Yeah, fine, I'll lose to a fight to him, but I've got all the brains. Like, he's just a bit of a thicko. Do what you want. And he isn't, but he's just a wonderful quip, and that's what he is. He's camp.
It's a bit
gay. Is Scar? He's a bit gay. He's a bit. Really,
the way he moves, it's very fluid.
And he slinks, and he literally holds his paws up. He occasionally sort of camps it up.
He's not got a
when he was when Simba asked him, "I'm your only nephew," and he just goes, "All the more reason for me to be protective." And he literally holds his hands up like that.
Maybe.
You know, it's
Scar gay.
Well. No, it's not. But he's just camping. He's to use filmy stuff. He's coded gay, if you know what I mean. That's what they'd say.
Listeners, I don't know what you think, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah. But Yeah, it's camp.
Camp, very, yeah, okay.
Camp,
and we'd go with that. We'd go with camp.
It's really good. And loads and loads of good lines. Great song, delivered brilliantly. Yes, it's not really well sung, but it's not supposed to be a really, really singy song.
No,
and it's supposed to be et up and, and when he leaps down and...
And now I'm making me move. And...
Yeah, and long live the king, when he's got him in there, and... Oh, yeah. I'm babbling now because it's one of my favourite scenes is the whole wildebeest thing. So, yeah, brilliant guy. Yeah. Brilliant.
But yeah, no, Jeremy Irons in it it's a very, very, very good performance. Again, just touching upon themes, the whole film is littered. It's about life lessons, in it, to summarise, to summarise and move on from those points.
Yeah,
life lessons. Is one of the things I do like about one of the themes I do like about the film. That it is life lessons. It's like you're saying, it's about growing up, moving on, and accepting your past, what it was, and trying to make things better.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
So what else are you have you got on your notes?
The other thing that I think
what you enjoyed.
I think something's got to be said about the music.
Well, let's talk about the music, mate. So listen, here's a list, mate, of the songs you've got. Circle of Life, banging. Can't Wait to Be King. Come on,
mate, brilliant film.
Brilliant
song as well.
Just can't wait.
I love Zazu. That's the other thing in that thing. Where he goes, not yes.
Yeah. No, but again, Scars, Be Prepared, and then Plumber and Simone, Hakuna Matata. Again, all these songs, like, people know them.
People know them. Everyone knows every single one of these songs.
Can You Feel Love?
Can You Feel Love Tonight?
Bang.
But Elton John and Tim Rice in it, and they've just hit it out the park. They've thrown that ball up in the air and they've just gone bang.
It's just
gone. Home run. It's beautiful, mate. Like, I just can't wait to be king. You hear that sung by adults in the karaoke in the pub, and it's never gonna get old. Everyone knows it.
And I think Can You Feel Love Tonight? A lot of people say it's one of their favourite Elton John songs.
Would they?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I always like the version of it in the film more than his...
Because
I'm singing at the end, you know what I mean? But it's still a good song.
Yeah, but his version, him singing it is just at the end, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or even the songs through the film are sung by the characters. Yeah. But yeah, great.
Yeah.
Just tune. I mean, Circle Life.
And that's it. They looked at musicals. That's quite clearly what they're... It is a musical. It's a proper musical in the sense of the characters that you are seeing are singing the songs. Yeah. It's not what Disney's idea would be later. Let's just get Phil Collins to sing the whole thing.
Oh, don't.
And you're like, right, okay, but
Tarzan.
But it's properly like what you call... Yeah, Tarzan, that's one that did that. But, like, it's a musical, like you go and see a show, and obviously it becomes a show.
We'll get onto that.
But it isn't. It's just a really, really well structured musical with just really good songs that do everything that a Disney film would want. It's literally got your massive opening song. You've got your I Want song, I Just Can't Wait to Be King. No Disney film in that era didn't have an I Want song. Little Mermaid, where she wants to be part of his world.
Yeah.
Aladdin don't want to be a street rat anymore. I want Hercules would be to find where I belong, and he wants to be king. But the kid don't realise that does require the death of his father, of course.
Yeah.
But that's the cute thing about it. Is that's another theme of the thing. It's a loss of innocence, isn't it? He becomes jaded 100%. And he has to learn. Yeah. And he wants to be king so badly, and that's the thing.
But has no idea what that will entail.
And that's the thing. That music conveys that brilliantly, because then we go immediately into the hard scene.
Do you know what I noticed as well, mate? I think if you watching the film for the show, what I found interesting with the music and where they put the music in the film, if you go back and listen to it with what I'm about to say, and again I'm going to do it, I'm going to watch the film again and think about this. So at the beginning of the film you've got Circle Life, which is planting seeds, because that's the whole message of the film. And then you've got then the next song to come along is Can't Wait to Be King, and then the next thing after that is his dad dies and he fucks off.
Yeah.
So it's planting a seed, then there's the payoff. And Scar's song, Be Prepared, the next thing, he takes over and...
for a change.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
The plot is the song, are the things that push the plot. Literally.
100%.
And it absolutely does. And do you know what? It does it so well. Not one of those songs is bad just on their own as a song. In fact, not bad. Fucking great.
Yeah, fucking great.
But it serves the film really well. Moving on now.
Yeah.
Want that good? Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Again, Hakuna Matata, right, now he's mature and he's like, I can get over that now, no worries. And then, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? He falls in love, he's got a missus, he's going back home and he's going to kick ass and he's going to fucking roll. And then they're going to have a baby.
Yeah, well, I love at the end, one of my favourite scenes in Can You Feel the Love Tonight? They've just rolled down the hill.
Yeah.
And she looks at him, and I am sorry, she is looking at him like, we are going to smash in those matches. She looks at him, she looks low. Smash me, Simba, smash me. They made...
She does.
They made Lion Love. They went in there and they banged the life out of each other.
They had a rawsome time.
Mate, they do. And I love
Can you feel the love? I'm going to
Simba,
make sure you feel it.
Yeah, Simba's face. Oh, great bits of animation as well.
Really
when she licks his face, and his eyes open like, what was that? Oh, all right, there we go. They at it like kittens.
Yeah. Well, clearly, baby.
Yeah, and a number of months later, after they've already taken over, the little kid appears. What did they do? Shagged in those bushes. but it's fucking Lady and Tramp. They're saying when they have their little walk in the park and disappear off screen, she don't wake up next morning. Mate. It's like they smash that night. Oh, later on in the film, puppies. Yeah. Oh, okay. Mummies and daddies doing that in their kids' film. They shagged.
You know what I like as well? The hyenas, great characters, great villains.
I still remember. Because I made it when I were, again, just for laughing so hard that people turned around when... And again, it's just for the writing, really good jokes when Banzai goes... And I were a little kid, it's not the best joke, but Banzai goes, hey, did we order this dinner to go? And she goes... No, why? And him just said, there it goes! It's gone! And it always makes me chitter, but I still remember being a kid going like, yeah! Like, so funny, and people turning around and my dad like,
you do have some funny lines, but as villains, like you say, villains of the piece, they are quite good.
The good comic relief villain as well.
Going on to comic relief, Pumbaa and Timon.
Timon and Pumbaa,
I think they're my favourite characters in the film. I think a lot of people would say that.
Yeah, and Simba literally finds him and is adopted by his interracial same-sex couple who raise him as their own.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Not even same species, but they're together. Who's Timon's partner? It's Pumbaa. Married them two. Yeah. Getting married. Conducted by Rafiki, he was there. He officiated.
Hetero life mates.
Yeah.
Hetero life mates. You know.
Yeah.
I think they're my favourite characters. They're funny.
Yeah.
Again,
they're really but it's Nathan Lane, and he's supposed to. In America, he's really well known for being quick. He's a quick actor, and he's another one where he probably ad libs a few jokes as well.
Yeah. They probably just went say.
And they went say it like that.
Yeah.
But,
try it that way.
Yeah.
But no, Timon and Pumbaa and Timon. Another one of my favourite characters is Rafika.
Yeah.
Not a big character in it, but he's an important character.
Well, he's the one who baptises him, and he's the one who... and it is a baptism now. Like, people go, ceremony.
Yeah.
I remember watching a review on YouTube, and they were like, and they do some obscure ceremony. And I'm like... It's literally referencing baptism. It's not that obscure. Like, wipe something on his head, like the vicar or the priest, if you're Catholic, would wipe some water on your head.
And he's the one that he finds out. And he finds out as well when he's fucking off with Pumbaa and Timon, when the wind carries some of his hair in the wind all the way to his gaff.
Yeah,
and he's just
unlike the remake, they don't have to show us every fucking blaming detail of what that piece of hair does. Oh, do I really want to know that it were accidentally eaten by an elephant and shit out and taken by dung beetles? Okay, can't we just have it that he just went by the wind?
Yeah,
and
it works in
Simba.
Yeah,
it's not like Rafiki there going elephant shit. Simba, like, no, just have it through the air and like,
oh, what's this?
It's Simba.
It smells
because
like
I'm literally fucking magic.
Yeah,
and I know these things. It's literally psychic.
Yeah,
you know,
piss kick.
so yeah. I really like Rafiki as well.
Who's your favourite character in the
Well, when I was a kid, it was Mufasa. I loved Mufasa.
Okay, yeah, because it's like...
Right, I'm a sucker for a king. I have to say, I do a lot of history stuff, and most of it, I have to be said, is about kings and queens.
Yeah,
really,
okay.
You know what I mean? I'm into it. I'm not gonna like. So he's the king, and he's the good king, seemingly, and he's strong, and and he has a philosophy about ruling.
Circle of life.
You know what I mean?
Blah, 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 that's the story.
And he's wanting to hand that over, and apparently is incredibly well-run kingdom, you know. And I used to really like Mufasa, but I think my absolute favourite character is that I've always such affection for is Zazu. I love Zazu, the messenger, Rowan Atkinson. Well, he's not actually just the messenger. I, madam, am the king's major domo. Like, he's literally his chief minister. He comes there and he advises the king, and he's really witty as well. I love it where he goes
well.
Right at the beginning after him. Mufasa and Scar has had his argument, and he goes, "What am I going to do with him?" And he'd make a very handsome throw rug. Yeah. And then he was like, just think, whenever he gets dirty, you can take him out and beat him. Like,
the thing is as well, I listening to that character and watching that performance, like the animated the bird, I can hear and I could see almost like if it was in a character just playing a live action version, if it was about kings and queens and it was, do you know what I mean? Just the same thing.
There's always the vizier character who is either evil like Jafar or Lord of the Rings Wormtongue. He's the royal vizier. He's either bad or he's bitchy, bit camp, but good heart.
Good heart. Maybe ideas above the station. Kind of thing.
He's a bit of a parvenu. Is Zazu like, as well. I, madam, am the king's major domo. I love that. Even at the moment of mortal danger, and Shenzi is like, and who are you? And he even though he's probably thinking I'm going to get eaten by these hyenas, has to go, I, madam, am the king's major domo. Actually.
He is good. He is a good character.
And he's got good puns. When he swoops in to give his morning report, he'd get full of puns. So it's like, the buzz from the bees is that the leopards are in a bit of a spot. And I like that. That's what he does all the time. He makes puns. He's the pun machine. Is Zazu.
I do like.
But I love it. I love him. I do love him.
So what about things that, or do you have anything that you would like to discuss in terms of maybe you didn't find it as good as you remember, or could you think, I didn't really like this about this, or?
Well, I think I sort of hinted at it earlier that of like. Just like the hyenas, like people saying like the segregation thing. You know what I mean? Looking at it as an adult, it's almost like the message is, and you were right, never wanting to deal with them ever because they're crazy.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean? It's like the forbidden zone.
And the message, but this is always looking at it as an adult. When you look at it as the innocence of a kid, you wouldn't think like that.
No, again, I do think there is things in that film again that kids wouldn't really understand until you're older and have a lot of life experience and seem like I say, messages. You know, and talk about a lot of films.
And you think where Mufasa's explaining Circle of Life to. Simba, and you think to yourself, well, he's saying to him, everything exists together in a delicate balance, and as king you need to understand that balance. And that's the bit about kingship, but where he doubles around. When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And he's sort of like, oh, well, that's okay then, but literally every animal in this world is sentient, so what you're actually doing is killing a subject for your own needs, and that's okay because they get to eat them when they eat their grass. And you're like, it's sort of how powerful that the message of the film is. Powerful people should be in power because they're the best people to be in power. It's sort of like,
okay,
do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Oh, you people who aren't necessarily very privileged, you know what I mean, you don't have a right to it. It's like the king and his court, they're the special people, you know what I mean? But this is all looking at it as an adult, and me looking at it as an historian and someone who's interested in politics. And I do think you kind of ruin it if you start to try and nitpick this film.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting that you can discuss these things in terms of a children's animated film again.
But yeah, that's also another thing. Do I want it to not have done those things? No, because it hasn't shied away from tackling an actual about responsibility and leadership and what it means to be a good ruler. So good ruler, in fact, that the fucking weather changes, and that is nitpicky. But it's like, why is there a drought? Whether a drought or why is there a drought?
So does that mean you appreciate it even more being an adult? Appreciate the themes in the film?
I think I do. I think I do, because I appreciate history and politics and stuff about struggles for the throne and stuff like that. I think you'll watch it and you'll get more out of it now.
Monarchy is a film about monarchy.
It's a film about monarchy. It's literally called The Lion King. It's the king of the lions.
There you go.
What is the film... What's its core theme? Monarchy. It's about
succession, monarchy.
Yeah. And that's why it's... Some people would criticise it. I wouldn't.
No.
But some people would criticise it in saying that literally he's a prince and he was always going to end like that. So people nowadays will go, oh, the plot's not very... Like, that's not very... complex, and you're just like...
I think on that point I'd go, for one, you're fucking wrong, and for two,
but
really watch it and go, appreciate that it's packaging these thoughts and themes in a way that kids and adults will enjoy it both. And do you know what? And it makes it all the better for that for me. It makes it even more because it knows what it's doing, and it's smart enough to know what it's doing. And again, I've said it a few times now throughout the show, and I'm trying not to repeat myself a lot. But again, I think it's a better film for having those themes and packaging them in the way that it does.
Yeah.
So again, if I was to kind of nitpick, there's a couple of scenes in the film that I do want to discuss, and I get your opinions on, because I don't know, I've got issue with it. Right? So the first scene where I'm just like, it took me almost out of the film, and it's at the end when they're having the fight, and all of a sudden it just goes slow-mo for about 30 seconds. They're having a fight in slow-mo, and I'm like...
do you not like that?
No, and I'm like, that jarred me, because the rest of the film...
I can see what they're... Yeah, I suppose. Don't hurt it for me, but yeah, I can see why.
It jarred me because the animation is so beautiful and so smooth throughout the film, you know. And I just got to that bit and I was like, but why, dude? Why? What was that choice? Let's do the fight, the end of the fight.
I think the one is,
because you still could have an impactful fight, but at full speed.
I think.
You're going, oh, okay, Chris.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that. I think they wanted it to be an epic moment where they could really show these lions fighting in the same way like they did with the...
Well, then maybe I disagree with the stylistic choice of that scene.
I think that's all you're saying. I can see why you go, but it don't bother me, so...
It's a nitpick for me. And to be fair, the only other nitpick that I do have, Mark, is... Do you know at the end after... So, I find this, like, again, I don't know if it's because I'm older now and I just, you know, I've kind of been jaded by a lot of the cinema that I watch, but as I see a lot of things like symbolism in films, you know, when they're trying to portray a message through images. And what really kind of was like, oh, right, okay, I totally get your fucking message you're trying to run around. I get the symbolism, what you're trying to show me. When the fire at the rock, like, where the final fight, it's like, it's all... But everything burns to the ground, and then all of a sudden it rains. And I'm like, right, all right. So you're showing we're going to burn all the bad away, and then the rain's going to wash the bad away, and then literally everything's back. It's like it's spring again.
But there is a time jump. There's quite clearly a time.
No, I know, but I'm just like, all right, I get your fucking message. Like, no, this is the end of the shit, and now we're going to start anew, and it's going to be lovely. And back to normal.
But that's it. That's the thing with it. It's.
Symbolism all over.
The beautiful fire, and Scar dies like down there, eaten by his own men and women. You know,
Whoopi Goldberg, yum.
Yeah, but this is why I love the fight scene at the end, just with
even with that fucking slow motion.
Yeah, because. It's not really about that. The fight would be over in 2 minutes because Simba literally just flips him over down where the hyenas are. But it's almost like a battle of wits, and Simba, he's realised that he's the one. You're at fault. He's been blaming himself the whole time, and.
Well, he gets him to admit it in front of all the women, like, he killed me,
but
dad.
that whole scene, everyone's acting in its tip top, and
they're all good throughout the board.
So a bit of slow mo, it doesn't hurt it for me, and I've never noticed it as a problem. But I can see why you'd think, oh, okay,
yeah, like, oh, all right,
yeah.
Again, I do feel my criticism is I do feel in that particular moment they could have done the fight at full speed and still. Be as impactful, or it would have been more impactful for me, because I think for me, I'm like, oh, okay. It just took me out of it for a second, and I'm like, oh, why all of a sudden that stylistic choice to go? They're having a proper scrap, then they'll just go slow mo.
It's just that they wanted it to be as epic as the wildebeest scene. But I've got to talk. I know we're supposed to be on about things that we don't like, but I've just got to. For a brief moment, talk about the stampede scene of everything comes together into one of the most wonderful scenes, I think, certainly in the whole of animation, if not cinema. Wonderful moment. The wildebeest come crashing down, and the score starts, and it builds and it builds and it builds. You know, even just like he does his little roar, and it starts then rumbling, and you know the score keeps us going all the way through that building, and he's running away under a stampede in the gorge. It sounds like a stampede, and there's this epic choir singing, and little Simba's hanging onto a tree. Your father is on the way. Hold on, hurry up! And they rush down, and then when Scar and it's built up. Mufasa jumps down and tries to save Simba, and it's exciting. Like he drops him, and then he gets him again, and then he puts him on a rock, but gets dragged off. And all the time, the film's like. The score is there, pumping the whole time, and then at a moment where Simba's looking and he can't see his dad in this,
after the last
and then
fucks off.
and then while they're all running, he can't see his dad, and then he jumps and leaps onto the thing, and it sends shivers down my spine as an adult when Mufasa's there clinging on, and Scar appears over him, and they go, Scar, and they go, brother. Help me. And it's this moment, this bloke who has dominated everything in their life, and Scar just grabs him and just long live the king, and it makes me go as a kid, and he flings him and he's got the balls to kill him off. There is no what happened, like Bambi's shot off screen, he slams into the thing, and Simba going no, and you go, oh mate, it's beautiful. It's still, it gives me chills because it's very impactful. The build up, and you know, and then even at the end, you're there thinking, wow, what a film. It just goes silence as soon as Mufasa goes into the thing, and you hear Simba go no, silence, and the music stops, and it's what's happening. He finds him dead, and Scar playing his manipulating little game with him of going, you know what I mean? What will your mother think? This is your fault.
Yeah,
and
psychological
that's
games.
one of the reasons why Scar is such a great villain. I know we were supposed to be on about things we don't
No,
I just couldn't let go without saying, wow.
No, hey, it's fine, mate. No, this is what this part of the show is, to discuss what we like and what we don't like. So, Mark, I think we should move on to kind of impact that Lion King has had on pop culture, film in general. And I'd like to talk about, just briefly, about the films that were made just before and just after Disney. So, let's talk about that. So, in terms of films that were made before this, and I think it's a good point to make, Beauty and the Beast, massive. Again, huge. This was the start. It won an Oscar. It was a worldwide hit again, and that was 1991. So they had gold on their hands there, and then they were like, "Oh, this is interesting." And obviously, some of the team went on to work on another big hit a year later, Aladdin. So they're working at that concurrently.
Bearing in mind, before Beauty and the Beast, they'd had The Little Mermaid, which was the thing that...
Yeah, it started
it started it. They called this period the Renaissance.
And you can see why. Because every film was bigger than the last.
Because, just so you know, the 80s have been a very, very difficult time for the Disney Corporation. Like, they hadn't had a big hit. They had partial hits with Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
That was a decent hit for him.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the success for Basil gave him their ideas of like, right, we're just going to trust as writers to make good films, and they do. And starting with Little Mermaid and the
Beauty and the Beast,
Aladdin,
then
the Lion King.
That was like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then I think it goes to show. Then the next film out the gate was Pocahontas. And that was like, but then Toy Story again. Now now we're moving into CG.
Yeah, but
we're dabbling.
It's almost like the Lion King hit the absolute crest.
100%. The crescendo. That was the crescendo.
Traditionally animated
that period
things.
For them.
And I mean, there are a few others that. But there's a distinct... They're not going to reach the heights of what The Lion King are. Pocahontas were a disappointment for Disney. The Hunchback of Notre Dame were a bit of a disappointment for Disney. And then Hercules, again, a disappointment for Disney.
And then
I love those... I'm not so keen on Pocahontas. And I really like Mulan. And I love Hercules. Flawed film. But I love Hercules. I've got a soft spot for it. But... there is a decline, and then you've got Tarzan, which is a lovely looking film, but
again, it's not as good.
It's not as good.
But that's always going to happen. You're always going to run, and then it's just going to fall off. That's just what happens.
I think one of its legacies is that The Lion King, and this is kind of sad, almost killed off traditional animation for the simple fact it went so high. And then when they've got CGI, which is this new competitive,
you can't go big. You just got to go different. Then
you can't go big. You've just got to go. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And all the others are either good. I think they're good. No, I don't think anyone could look at Mulan or Hercules and any of the, or even the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
They're just not greatly good. They're just not great.
Which is a really good, I'd say they're really good, but they're not the Lion King.
I don't think those four films, like you say, Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and Lion King, people of a certain age, I'm telling you now, they would say one of those four is their favourite Disney film.
I bet you they would.
100%.
100% agree. 100% agree. No.
Anyone that's born from 1980 onwards.
I don't think anyone's saying Mulan over Aladdin.
100%.
Or, you know what I mean? Even though I think that I've Time for Mulan is a really, really good film.
But it's them four films, mate.
It's those
one of those four films.
And I can totally see why for all of them, but...
It was just building Mermaid, then like you're saying, Lion King to be the top.
Although I do think...
And that's why it has such a massive cultural impact.
Yeah, exactly. Cultural impacts being Well, for one, it's got a stage show, a West End production.
And it's been going for a while.
That has been going since basically The Lion King came out.
Yeah.
I haven't looked, but I bet you it's 95, 96.
Yeah, it's around 90s, yeah.
And it's still going now.
Yeah.
And it's always sold out. It's one of those places that you can't just turn up and just be like, oh, there's 5 tickets left. No.
And a couple of people I know have seen it and said it's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's supposed to look fantastic, and I've never seen it, and I've always wanted to, but I've never. It's dear as well to buy the tickets.
It is dear. And it's had numerous re-releases.
Numerous. Well, Disney likes to take things out of the vault. Can you remember? Their whole idea of the vault? Put it in the vault. It's genius. It's evil genius, really. If you think about it, put it in the vault. They'll miss it. Then they'll miss it, and will they come and see it?
They just not. You can't. Yeah, you can't buy it. Out of print. You can't buy them.
You cannot buy them. You can get one second hand, but you can't buy it.
Yeah, and even second hand, they go silly money because you just can't buy them.
Yeah, you can't buy them, and that used to.
But it's been released in cinema. And in 3D, and do you know what I mean? I've made, and to be honest with you, I think I have the 3D Blu-ray, and it's pretty fucking smart in 3D.
Yeah.
Pretty smart.
I've bought this film. Fuck knows how many times. Bought this film. God knows how many times I've got. It's at various homes and got left like so many times that always.
It's in the collection.
Always, you should have The Lion King because it's just. It's The Lion King.
And it even produced a remake. Let's talk about the remake a little bit.
Well, we do have to, because I don't know what it's for. What is it for?
It is pointless.
What is it?
It doesn't bring anything to the table.
Is it just to show? Oh, look at what we can do. We can do this now. And you're like, right, ace.
We've got.
But we've had that. Couldn't you make another Lion King story? All right, let's say you do a live action one. Why are you selling the Lion King? And it looks worse than these lions that are totally unexpressive because they've got lion faces instead of vaguely humanoid faces. It's not as colourful. It's all a bit dark. It's all a bit
very
grey.
naturalistic.
And you're like, I don't understand.
Do you know what? When I watched
I don't know what it's for.
I literally about 5 seconds after watching it was like. That was a bit pointless.
Super pointless.
Really
it don't
pointless.
Really add anything
Nothing.
Except a
and it's
subplot.
half an hour longer.
It doesn't add anything except a subplot about the hyenas who
not needed.
It's sort of it's an attempt to justify people saying why do they have to exile the hyenas? What? Because they're literally bad for the Pride Lands. They eat everything.
Don't need it.
You know, it's.
We don't need that plot line. We don't need the film. We just don't need it.
Don't need it. I'm impressed with it. It's a technical masterpiece. I can see photorealistic. The people working on that, top of their game and what they're doing. Throw some money at them, Disney. Talented people. Yeah. But I don't understand what that film's.
It's the highest grossing Disney film.
I know. And did I go watch it? Yeah. So I'm part of the problem. But I didn't know it was going to be
shit.
Like,
do you know what this is?
I don't think it's shit. It's not a shit film. It's just The Lion King shown in the way that we don't need
like a
the Lion King. Yeah,
it's like a documentary.
Yeah, but
weird.
it's Hamlet with lions.
Yeah.
There we
go.
You know what I mean? It's Hamlet with lions. It's not the Big Cat Diary. You know what I mean? We're not watching that. Yeah. Well, I did watch it, and I've watched them all. I'm part of the problem. Disney, just the many-headed hydra of Disney, just has this sucker on the fucking nerve centre that is our nostalgia thing, and we'll just squeeze it until it's dead. And do we all go, and I'm part of the problem? Yeah, am I going to watch it?
You know how many times we need to mention Disney and the power that they've got. It's
enormous.
It's crazy.
It's enormous.
It is crazy.
And literally, they own everything. And even the stuff that they've always owned, they're not actually doing it. They haven't done anything with the Lion King since they made a sequel.
Well, do you know what? I was going to say this. Like, you have more knowledge about Lion King 2 and Lion King 1.5.
Well, I'll come on to that. But Lion King 2 is actually surprising. It's Romeo and Juliet. They did Hamlet. It's Romeo and Juliet.
Okay, I've never seen it.
There's no point going into it. But actually, relatively good film. It's Romeo and Juliet, but with lions. And
it's same characters.
Well, it's Simba and Scar's wife. Did you not notice he had a wife? No one did. They made her up, but she's a good character. Like
I thought he was on. Well, we said he's camp. So
well, yeah, I know, but Anyway,
right,
and he's adopted, and Scar's adopted son.
Oh no!
Yeah, but it's actually sounds like shit. It sounds like shit, but it's an all right film. It's all right, especially compared to all the other dross that is the straight-to-video Disney sequels for every other Disney film. It's actually put together. But then they made what is the world's most baffling film to me. I simply don't understand it, and it's not the remake. It's Lion King 1.5, or as it was originally marketed, Lion King 3.
So, listeners, right, Mark, I've never seen Lion King 3/1.5, and the way Mark was explaining it to me when we was talking about doing the Lion King for this episode of the show, he showed me a couple of clips on YouTube around at his house, and literally, guys, he said, Chris, this is the plot of the film. The plot of the film is it's a remake of the original Lion King, but told from the perspective of Timon and Pumbaa, and apparently
there the whole time,
all the time throughout the story,
and accidentally setting off everything that happens in the story,
it looked fucking weird.
It is. It's almost a spoof. I can't.
Yeah, it is a spoof. That's why I said to you, I was like, Mark, it's a fucking spoof.
And
I was just like, that is a spoof. They've made the first Lion King into a spoof.
Yeah, and
starring Timon and Pumbaa.
Baffling film, utterly baffling film. I'd get perfectly watchable. Like if you'd watch it, it's nothing offensive in it. I'm just baffling film. Like, why have you made that? Like,
crazy. I'm never going to watch it.
It's not worth it. It's just utterly baffling film.
But again, going back to its impact, it's a film, again, from a lot of people our age's childhood. It's a film that they keep throwing out on every format. Its popularity just hasn't waned. It made a fuck ton of money at the start, and it's just stayed at the top. And it's a great film. So
wonderful film.
Going on to verdicts and final thoughts. Obviously, I'll give you mine first, and I'm just going to go straight in there. I'm going to be bold. This is bold. And I've already kind of discussed this with you. I think it's probably, for me, and I've seen a fucking shit ton of animation from all over the world. I think it's probably the best animated film of all time. Purely because of its themes and the way it packages those themes. I think the animation's gorgeous, and it's like you say, it's one of the, if not, I don't think it was the actual last Disney film to be hand-drawn, or the last animated film to be a big hit. But again, let's just take a step back and realise the journey that came before it with the building in terms of, Aladdin. Then there was Beauty and the Beast, then Mermaid. Going back and then you can see, like you're saying, Lion King was the tippy of the top of the that was it reached crescendo with that.
And I think it needs to be stressed once more that this were the team that, although were very prestigious, but they were the team that Disney didn't think would do as well as Pocahontas. And just look at it, look what they produced.
I think for me, I remember going to the cinema to see it. It's one of those films that. I never get bored of it. Would I watch it and would I keep it in rotation in my collection? I'd keep it in the collection, but it's not a film I would instantly go to, say, on a Sunday afternoon. But saying that, I have to give it its props. And to give it its props, I would have to give this a score of 9. Because of its impact, because of my opinion on it. I genuinely do think, Mark, for me, it's probably the best animated film. It's not my favourite animated film of all time. There's loads of films that I would choose to watch, but give it its props for me.
Yeah.
And my knowledge of cinema, for me, I would give it a 9.
Yeah.
So,
what
about you?
This film it's a big part of my life. Is this film I think there were a period of my life where I pretty much watched it every morning. I was just obsessed with it. I watched it, and I knew every single line. I could quote the film from beginning to end. I knew every line. I loved it. I would get I wore out at least 3 videos, VHS, because we old nowadays, you know what I mean? Wore out 3 of them, just watched it. And it's always grown with me. I've always found whenever I re-examine it in a like, oh, let's actually think about it kind of film, it's always endeared itself to me more. There's more aspects to it. It becomes about things that I like history and leadership and stuff like that. Again, and it's political themes.
It's a monarchy.
Exactly. So that's what it's about. And I'm also really into wildlife. This was one of the things that got me into wildlife.
Okay, there you go.
Know what I mean? I loved it. We're obsessed with like big cats after this. I used to watch. There were a BBC programme called Big Cat Diary, and I'm sure at one point they even went with films like they'd reference The Lion King, like
in the style of filming the animals.
No, they're not in the style of filming it. They're just like one of them might be named that.
Okay.
It's almost like Disney. Everyone saw the success of this film that's about animals, and it piqued an interest in wildlife for me and stuff like that. Piqued an interest in history because it's about kingship. It's a medieval monarchy is what it is, and so it's a really big part of me, and I can appreciate how beautiful it is. I can appreciate the score. I can appreciate the actual the big songs, the cast. I like every single one of them, and they're all on top form, and they're all doing it really well. And you know how it's as an adult, how it's paced. It choppily takes you through this story. It doesn't linger, but it does it all beautifully. And I love this film. Love it. And so I have been sort of wavering between giving it a 9 and a 10. Like I love it so much. I could give that film a 10. A 10. I have such affection for it. I only ever have good feelings about it. But I'm an adult, right? I'm a 32-year-old bloke, and I'm aware that nothing is perfect. There is a flawed thing. I can't look at it with just my eyes of being a kid. That's beautiful. That's about themes that I really like. Is it perfect? Probably not. But I find it really difficult to see those things. But I know they must be there. So I'm also going to give it a 9. It's the best. It is the best animated film, I think, ever. It's the best animated film.
Listen.
But I know it must be flawed, but I'm not the guy to point it out. So I'll recognise that by giving it the 9. But it's a 10 in my heart, but in my head I know it's a 9. It's a 10 in my heart.
Thank you. I like that. Yeah, I do like that. And I think on that note, guys, we're going to wrap up the show. Yeah. Just want to say thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. As keep always. Supporting us. Yeah, guys, so take care of yourselves and each other, and we shall see you down the road.
In a bit, Skip. Bye.